talking Grow Next Gen today, and we're up in Northwest Ohio, Pettisville High School, and joining me right now, Whitney Short. She's an ag educator here at Pettisville, and we just were able to shadow and see a pretty cool lesson. That's a Grow Next Gen lesson, by the way, brought to you by Ohio Soybean Council and the Soy Checkoff. And Whitney, thanks so much for being here. But before we talk about some of the lesson, let's talk about your background, because we're talking, we're trying to relate agriculture in the classroom. What's your ag background?
Sure. So I grew up here in the Pettisville School District on a small sheep farm, and showed lambs and 4-H and FFA all the way through. I live on a grain farm now. And so I went to Ohio State for animal sciences and agricultural education. So production agriculture is a big part of my background. I also worked a little bit at Root Seeds, which is, we did some research and development there when I was in high school. So I've always enjoyed agriculture. It's always been a really important part of my life and kind of the foundation for me teaching.
And we're up here in a rural area of Ohio, but you were sharing with me that in this classroom that we just got to shadow and see some of the labs that they were doing, that none of these come from an agricultural background, truly. None of these students did.
Right. So the students we were with today don't live on production farms. So they have an interest in agriculture. They may have shown an animal in 4-H or FFA in the past. One of them does raise some rabbits at home, but they're not coming from like a grain production farm or a livestock production farm. And so that's part of why it's so important to me to make sure that we're continuing to build their ag literacy and understanding agriculture.
All right. So how do you, as somebody who has a passion for agriculture yourself and a background in agriculture, how do you kind of connect those dots to students that don't, while also, connecting the sciences and all kinds of things in the classroom? How do you do that? How do you do that?
So one of my favorite ways to do that is through agri-science and ag biotechnology. So most students that come into our classroom are interested in hands-on learning. And so one of the ways I can really get them to understand agriculture is through science concepts. And that's why GrowNextGen is so important to me, because it gives me some labs and some activities where I can truly have them do a bench science lab, but it's around agriculture. And so that's one of my favorite ways to do it. There's a lot of different ways, but it brings science to life for them and it brings agriculture to life for the students.
Any lessons that stand out? We'll talk about the one that we did here today, but for those, especially if there's teachers listening or watching and saying, hey, I would love to bring a few of these into my classroom, specifically some high moments that you think that really grab students' attention.
Well, yeah, I think it depends on what you're going for. So there's a lot of different topics. There's anything from water quality. I was just at professional development with GrowNextGen where we talked about using robots. I have collaborated with our STEAM teacher on building things. So there's a lot of different things. It kind of depends on which topic you're looking for, but whatever topic you're looking for, there's probably something there where we can incorporate it. Obviously, looking at biodiesel and looking at the foods that we can make from it are big hits with students because they like to make something that they can see the end result with.
And specifically today, we're in a greenhouse management class, and we're not in the greenhouse at the moment, obviously, but as you were saying, connecting those dots even further with some end products. How do we do that today?
Right. So these students have spent the year growing plants, learning about plant management, learning about plant health, learning about plant growth. And so we talked a little bit about soybeans and what we use soybeans for. And the students didn't necessarily know. They see a field of soybeans. They know what a soybean plant is. They don't necessarily know what it's used for. And so today was a really cool experience to see them take soy flakes and soybean oil, or vegetable oil, as I reminded them it is, and put it together to make chapstick. So we talked yesterday about foods that have soy in it, animal feed that has soy in it, but then this is another product that we can make from soy.
As two folks who come from an agricultural background, I think sometimes we just take it for granted that, hey, we want to be evangelistic about this. We love it. But as somebody who deals with folks that are just not from an agricultural background, and also being an evangelist yourself of agriculture, why? Why do you do this? So why do you want to tell people?
Well, I think it's just so important for students to understand where their food comes from, first of all. And second of all, to understand we live in an agricultural community here at Pettisville. And so when they see the soybean fields, when they see the corn fields, it's not uncommon for a student to think that even the corn is the same corn that they eat on their plate as sweet corn. And so just helping them connect the dots and understand that like soybean oil is in so many things. It's just, you don't necessarily know that it's there. I think so that they can be educated consumers as they grow up, and also so that they can have a better appreciation for farmers.
Educated consumers, but also, have you had any students, in your time using GrowNextGen that have they gone on to find a career in agriculture that maybe they wouldn't have before?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the coolest things as a teacher to see, right? So I have a lot of students who also complete research projects, even around soybeans, and to take that research. And then one of the coolest things is when they come back and say, I was better prepared in college because of that. So they take that to college, they use it there. But then I have one student right now who is working within agricultural communications and policy. I have another former student, actually a couple of them who are agriculture teachers, and they continue to just find their own paths that are related to agriculture, whether that is policy or communication, or that's working back on the farm. Or even we have students who don't go to college, but then work at the local grain elevator or mix feed for farmers. And all of those are really cool agricultural connections that they have.
And no doubt aided in part by the GrowNextGen curriculum and resources that can help you out in the classroom, right? Do your job even better than you're already doing it.
Absolutely. It is just this hub of resources that is so helpful to me as a teacher, for sure.
Can't talk enough good things about it. GrowNextGen.org. Go ahead and check it out. It's funded in part by Ohio Soybean Council and the Soy Checkoff. Joining me right now at Pettisville High School, ag educator over here, that's Whitney Short. I'm Joel Penhorwood for the Ohio AgNet. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and have a great day.